Hey guys, welcome to part two of The World, Its Cities and Peoples. And we're going to be looking at the book number 2 in the series I've gotten a hold of right here. Thanks for checking it out. My name's Eddie O. Welcome to Ed Talk. So as we continue along, we're going to look at the second volume of The World, Its Cities and Peoples. These books are reportedly from the 1880s, but we do not have any dates of publishing on them, which definitely adds to the mystery of why these books may be. We have plenty of images in these books, illustrations. They're not photographs, but they are definitely representations of records and record keeping, as far as I believe. And part two here, again, like part one, if you haven't watched part one of this video series, I please encourage you to go back, check that out. We have cities and the stories of the cities. So we have San Francisco, Rouen, Madrid, Cairo, Toronto, and Quebec. Marseille, Calcutta and the cities of the Ganges, Munich and Nuremberg, St. Petersburg, Pekin, Lyons, and Chicago. Why these cities? I'm sure these were some of the reset centers and repopulation centers. No introduction or foreword on this one, but as we go through and see cities of the world, starting with San Francisco, we'll start to see the imagery and we will see, I'm sure, things that we're overlooking. I think these books might have a deeper story to tell to the right people. These pictures are never dated, these illustrations of when they were drawn, reported, but we do have origin stories of these great cities. California Clippers. You ever wonder why Nate Griffin was a Clipper? We see these plans. When these cities apparently all started about after 1800 in settlement, most of our stories we have full grids all the time. Reset after reset, I'm sure that these are reused as templates. And we do see a lot of information, historical about prices, purchases, buildings, people that founded, some basic narrative, nothing too strange. And we also see stories of individuals who's painted as heroes or side players. And we see here, so we have to assume the information we have to go forward. In the 1880s, apparently there were 2 runs of these books, one in 85 and one in 1886, supposed. But they have figures, the money, they're keeping track of how much money was purchased and buildings and such. Not talking a lot about construction, but we do see some type of, oh, whoa, this kind of jumped out on me right here. I know this is kind of hard for you guys to read here in the video, but rather than become Tonquin, a Tartar province. Everything is the old world, which we call Tartaria, as the one world civilization. 6 Chinese companies. But I'm sure these books hold more than just some information. I think these books, in fact, are, in case anybody asks, this is what happened. Some of the images, of course, are beautiful, and these are drawings, etchings. How big was the piece of paper originally that they drew this on? And again, the overhead grids. And we have dates all over the place, 1800, 1500, 1200. The Rouen Cathedral, I gotta say, that is truly something else. I do have a theory about the different levels of Earth after particular resets. And when I say reset, generally, I mean the big ones every 400 years or so, perhaps, I guess now, as of today. The plasma events when Mount Meru depressurizes our enclosed area with the inverse bowl, the Eye of Providence, that opens. Mount Meru shoots blue, red comes in, depressurization. So then when all the dirt and earth settles down, there are different gradients of earth. So we always see a different road, street level rather, to our buildings, right? Definitely giveaways of the buildings already being there prior. But one of my theories I'm thinking about now, which we can use that picture as probably as good as any as an example. So something, let's say right here, okay? This is where the street is, right there. But if the mud or whatnot maybe was up to here, then this could have been the ground floor. See what I'm saying? Or moving up, or this could have been the ground floor. Tuning fork isn't doing me justice, but that could have been the ground. Or maybe this could have been the ground. Or this. So I think they had options depending on where they wanted to put the door. If that translates, I could see certain buildings where the levels of them are just so like this here, for example. Could have a street line here, or this here could be, or this, depending on how much. The Palace to Justice. Wow. And we do have individuals in these representations of what was here or is here. Of course, they could just be added in at any point. The tragedy of Jeanne d'Arc. Not Joan of Arc. Is that Joan of Arc the same thing? Jeanne d'Arc? Says here. About a young girl. I will be reading a lot of these. So if anybody sees anything that they would like to know in more detail, I only have these books for a certain amount of time. So please reach out to me, my link tree and such. Hit me up through an email, any of my social media, and I'll gladly come on your podcast, your show, do a recording, or do a reading for you, or some screenshots. The ceremony began with the accusatory and mediocrity sermon by a preacher from the University of Paris. But Jean, kneeling with folded hands, heard not the stormy eloquence of the preacher, who was communing with her heavenly visions. She was. Praise pour moi, she cried to the saints and angels. Praise pour moi. Pray for me? Hear me, perhaps? Come, priests. I believe that sounds like perhaps the Joan of Arc story. I am not really sure, but the hotel, sure. But when we see patterns, clues, that's what we'll be studying. So going through these, just to get a narrative started of the videos, book 2 here is another compendium of individual cities and the stories of those cities, in case anybody asks, perhaps. Right here we have Ecuador on Puerto del Sol. Guy looks pretty similar to folks these days, I guess. As soon as we can come to terms that we are a repopulated group of individuals, the sooner we can have an effect on this life. Here in Madrid, the Escorial, supposedly built in, I think, the 1500s or something. They say that this building got built. The bullfight. These books also talk about the different cultures and their entertainment and their religious views. The Plaza del Toros, the Plaza of Bulls, and Cairo. And what will they start with this story? Although we don't really know when this book was written, Cairo is the queen of eastern cities, essentially an Arab, and though in Africa, is the most Asiatic city in the world, except perhaps Damascus. People do not call themselves Egyptians, but Arabs, Arabic is the language spoken, and the religion is that of the Arabic prophet. It does not possess the historical interest or the commercial importance of Alexandria, but is the center of Arab civilizations. I believe Cleopatra definitely came from Middle Eastern areas, right? I'm not quite positive, but of course. But these stories, I'm sure, some of them are heard a little less often. What do we have here? Lattice windows in Cairo. The Citadel of Cairo. If any of you guys are artists out there and have a comment of what it would take to draw these etchings. Now, were these etched on metal, I've heard, and kind of pressed? I don't know. To make reproductions of images of this quality, something that would draw once and be able to replicate like a lithograph or some kind of printing press. How would this work? Simply do not know. Different spellings and a lot of stuff here. Pyramid, placed in a desert plain. Interpret the word pyramid as what it's supposed to mean. Connected with astronomical objects, high degree of acquaintance with heavenly bodies. English quarters are 70,982 English cubic inches. Pyramid, of course, light pyre, pier, pyre, fire in the mid, light of the middle. This looks an awful lot like a photograph, you know. But these apparently are not photographs. These are drawings or such. Schools in Egypt, mosques. Here we go, another obelisk. Obelisk of the Temple of the Sun at Heliopolis. Heliopolis, heliocentric photography is a big deal. But we do have a lot of numbers, specific numbers. Are these receipts for the mouth of Kronos when he orders, when he gets his check? Check, please, Mr. Kronos. You had 10 billion individuals? No, actually, skip. I'm excited to have these. Gonna learn a lot. The Fellahin, do not know, Upper Egypt. Now, for some reason, in Egypt, we're talking about Mississippi over here. The Thames, some of the traits popular to the levees of the Mississippi river towns. Egypt, of course, on the Mississippi. And we see in the Grand Canyon, and of course now in Central America. It's everywhere. All of this is everywhere. Everywhere is everywhere. And as we have a nice map of Toronto, nice and straight. Nice and straight. How this book was put together, who it was for, who it was handed to, still a mystery to myself. But I will be doing my research as diligently as I can for the time that I have it. Certainly beautiful books with a lot of secrets in them as well. There's a little piece of lapis lazuli just happened to get in there from my shelf. Keep that in there for good luck, perhaps. Maybe this page at the Falls of Montmorency. A lot of information here. And is this an account, or is this a answer sheet? Is this more of an answer sheet in case somebody asks, right? Oh yes, the Phoenicians were the first Greeks. Ah, the Phoenicians were the first Greeks to undertake distant voyages, huh? So you assume, sure. I'm sure the heroes in this are all white men, not considering Phoenicians connects to Moors, etc. Cathedral of Marseille. But these guides, obviously a lot of care went into them. But we do not have the names of everyone that drew any of these pictures or who was responsible for writing this Notre Dame. So this is quite exciting. I really appreciate you guys. This is Eddie O, and if you appreciate what I do, please like, subscribe, hit that bell. Eddie O on all social media, my link tree, also in my bio here on the page.
you still here? Did you hear what I said, boy?
I was...
You're hiding, aren't you?
No, I was just...
The video arcade is down the street. Here we just sell small rectangular objects. They're called books.
Books, books, books. This is beyond. Everywhere you look, you can just stab, and I bet it's interesting, right? Boom. Rich people hasten to Benares as death approaches, that be burnt at the spot they may attain eternal felicity. Again, I wish I had these for a longer time, but I'm going to try and document as much as I can. As much as we can see. Window of the Man Moon Days. Certainly beautiful. These artists should definitely be credited if it is art. This is art. This is drawn. This is a, whatever it is, it's not a photograph, supposedly. I thought there was a certain limited amount of information on the internet, of course, searching for pictures from the 1800s, postcards, historical records and archives, museums and such, and what is available. So to come across something like this that I wasn't too familiar with really seems a little bit of kismet. Thank you, God. Thank you, universe. I do owe this to being in service, and I give and serve, and I receive and move forward. And I've never been happier in my life, guys. But a lot of information. Again, please reach out to me if you have any information, insight. Munich and Nuremberg. Could this tower be leveled in dirt to here, or to here, or to here? Still be able to get in. And then again, how low down does it go? This here, I would imagine, is this here. In perfect perspective, I'm sure the ratios are perfectly even. As an individual who could draw something like this. And I like how there's snails down here. I'm not sure if you guys know the symbolism of snails. I've seen giant snails and sword fighting. And it's a lot to take in. It's a lot to take in, my friends. And this is book 2 of the 6 books that I have available to me now that I'm trying to go through and document. If you guys do have questions, like I said, St. John's, many repeating names over and over again, and it seems to be highly Catholic point of view from this storytelling, how all these cities are part of a certain Anglican angle. I encourage everybody to do their research on Rome and the differentiation of the Roman Empire into the Holy Roman Empire, because there's a lot of jumps that need to be made to understand who now is in power. Everybody reports to somebody except for one place. There's one group that does not report to anybody on the land. And of course, we know that that's the Vatican. Along these books, I did come across some older photographs from the time period as well. I imagine perhaps not. And some of the pictures that I got to look at are pictures of some popes, I believe. I don't know, but I just figured I'd kind of show some of this stuff that I did get a hold of. Make of it what you will. Says Roma. Now, I am not 100% sure, of course, that these are popes, but I know that this gentleman is right here. And this was a pope that had resigned. Yeah, so just a few images that were here that I'm not keeping, of course, but I did want to make sure I can document some of the older images, see what secrets they all have. because every such detail, whether being represented or metaphoric, what's in the sky up here? What is that right there? What do we see right there? What do we see right there? That's just it's just a bird, I guess. Pretty close up. Clues, we're not looking at things the right way, obviously, if the symbols are going past us. But if we can perhaps change our perspectives and look at things a little differently, then things can jump out at us, perhaps. Not really sure. Part 2 here of these books themselves. And then we're going to go into some of the photos that we had found as well. Again, similar to all the stories, all these buildings being built in just a different scenario. People, again, never quite figured it out. And we have stronger pieces of picture every once in a while. And in St. Petersburg, the column of Alexander, St. Petersburg, the time, just to draw something that looks as simple as this comparatively to some of these pictures. Any artist uses passion and desire and love to create their works. So these were not for naught. Yes. How about this? Alrighty. Maybe get a little zoomed in here and do a little reading. It says Pekin, the Tartar city. All right. I think there we go. Mongol Tartars, Genghis Khan. All right, let's do a little reading here. 20 minutes in of Peking. I think on the next video, actually, I'm just going to do that one because it's a few pages long. We do have reference to Mongolia, Tartar, prohibited city. So I'll dive into that a little bit separately here. We learn from Marco Polo, sure. But just briefly, let's see. Wang, Kublai Khan, his grandson. Yanqing, on a site now occupied by a western portion of the Chinese city, 1200 AD, the great chief of the Mongol Tartars, Genghis Khan, swept down upon China and carried all before him. His grandson, Kublai Khan, destroyed Yanqing, built instead of a city of Qingqing, known to native geographers as Gambalu, city of Kathwei. Marco Polo, Mongol, the dynasties and such. Then we've got the Manchu Tartars, meaning Barbar, Tartar chieftains. So we've got representation here, and this is definitely what I want to see in these books is Tartaria, giants, cloning, Hyperborea. You guys know me, you know what Edio likes to do. You know how we like to research. But this is certainly a gift to move my research forward. Somebody used this as a Magazines for All, 15 cents a month. Cassell's Family Magazine, Cassell and Company, New York. Cassell and Company. Now, was that the company here? Is that was the publishers? I think it was. Careful with this and much respect and thanks to being able to look at these books. Is it pretty special? Yeah. So, Cassell, the publishers here, Cassell and Company. Yeah, so if anybody would like to like a little souvenir or something, please reach out again. Here we go on the street. What's this? Is this a camera? What is in here? Is this a but this is going to be obviously very wonderful to read, and I will get as much out to you as I can. General view of Lyon. Wow. Yeah, to get a view like a city completely just, wow. It seems like the destruction of so many of these buildings really just happened in this last reset time period of the short season after 1776. If somebody's coming back looking for their buildings and somebody destroyed them all, they're going to be upset. I don't think in a world like this, overpopulation was ever a problem either with the 100 billion or so maybe that were there. And again, Christians, epochs, we see words jumping out, repeating. But this looks like a pretty stable story of what we're being shown here. And we see the arms of Chicago, which looks like a baby in a crib, the tet, right? The basket, the casket, the casket, the X, tet. Number 10 for the Phoenician. Guys, you are great. This is book number 2. Population of Chicago, illustrated by the following: 1835, 3,000. 1858, 90,000. 100,000. 1860. And by the time this book, 500,000. Statement of sales. Sales, sales, sales. Everyone was saving up a lot of money when they were only on a payroll for a little bit of time. Of course, Chicago. I'm going to read this one for my friends in Chicago. I got a couple friends, Azriel and Om, on TikTok, are my locals in Chicago. So do them their justice there. And here we are talking about railways. I'm sure they'll give the regular narrative of the construction that'll con with the information I have. And some views of Chicago. I like how they make it very casual. Nice little resting spot. 3,000 factories, 60,000 workmen. They have the capital of the cities themselves and what they're worth, I guess. But that is number 2 of the cities of the world, which all have this symbol in the back, which I will keep looking at and see more and more appear from the image itself. The art of nature, the hand, the flower, the Vajra, these weapons that can be shaped or whatnot, can also be very organic looking. When you see pictures of Mithras, he absolutely is holding a flower-based tool. A little bonus here I showed earlier, something very special that I found here, was indeed hidden in some of this. We see close up, we can get an image. Sorry about that, guys. We see what looks like an emblem, coat of arms. And the picture that we have in here, I believe, is clearly a depiction of Mithras, right? Perhaps not. But perhaps in itself, our friend Lucifer the Lightbringer is here in all kinds of forms. Who knows? But what great stuff. Again, thank you for watching. Ed Talk with me, your host, Eddie O. Check out part 3 coming up next. Like, subscribe. Certainly appreciate you guys.
The ones you read are safe.
And that one isn't?
Don't worry about it.
But you just said it was...
The ones you